I was folding the last of my clothes into my suitcase when my phone buzzed. I figured it was my son checking in before our trip. The cruise had been planned for months, and I had paid for most of it. 3 cabins, one for me, one for Michael and his wife Brittany, and one for the grandkids. I had already printed the boarding documents and set my passport out on the counter. When I opened the message, the air shifted. It was from Brittany. "You're not coming on the cruise. You're not our family." That was it. No greeting, no explanation. Just those 12 words. I stared at the screen for a few seconds, thinking maybe it was a mistake. Maybe she had meant it for someone else. I read it again, slowly. My stomach tightened. I sat down at the edge of the bed. The walls felt closer somehow, like the room had shrunk around me. "Hold on a moment before we move forward. Let us know where in the world you're watching from. And if you're loving these stories, don't forget to hit subscribe. Tomorrow's episode is going to be absolutely mind-blowing." I called Michael. No answer. I called again. Then I sent a message asking what was going on. Nothing. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. I sat in silence, staring at the half-packed suitcase. Brittany's message played over and over in my head. "You're not our family." How do you respond to something like that? I didn't cry. Not right away. I waited another hour, just in case Michael would call back. He didn't. I finally got up and zipped the suitcase closed, not to go anywhere, but to make the room feel less pathetic. Then I turned off the light, sat at the kitchen table, and just stared at the phone. Nothing came, not a single follow-up, not a single word from my son. I didn't sleep that night. I just laid there thinking about how I used to hold Michael's hand when he was afraid of the dark, about all the nights I stayed up with him when he was sick, about how I helped him and Brittany get their first home, how I co-signed the mortgage and even covered the down payment when their loan fell short. I thought about how I had rearranged my life to be near them after I lost my husband. I thought about my granddaughter's last birthday party, how I was the one who ordered the cake and picked up the decorations when Brittany forgot. And now I wasn't family. I got up around 5 and made coffee. The house was quiet, almost too quiet. I sat by the window watching the sky shift from black to blue. I couldn't understand how they had gotten to this point. Brittany had always been distant, but I never imagined she could be cruel. And Michael, my son, he had let her do this. Worse, he had stayed silent. By 8, I knew they were already at the port. They had an early boarding time, I imagined. Brittany in her big hat and oversized sunglasses, dragging the kids through the security checkpoint, acting like nothing had happened. I pictured Michael standing next to her, phone in hand, pretending he hadn't read my messages. I could practically hear her voice in his ear. "Don't respond. She'll get over it." I didn't want to get over it. I wanted to understand it, but there was nothing to understand. They had drawn a line, and I was standing on the wrong side of it. That afternoon, I walked into the living room and sat on the couch where my granddaughter had watched cartoons just days earlier. Her small blanket was still crumpled at the corner of the couch. I picked it up and held it in my lap for a while. That's when I made the decision. Quietly, firmly, no rage, no drama. I stood up, walked to the hallway closet, and pulled out the lockbox, the one I had kept hidden ever since George passed. Inside was the deed to the house where Michael and Brittany lived, the house I paid for. Technically, the house was in my name, held in trust after George's death. I had always planned to transfer it over to Michael officially, but I never got around to it. He never asked. He probably assumed it had already been done. I had done everything right. I raised my son. I supported his family. I gave them a home. And still, I wasn't family. I sat at the kitchen table and stared at the deed for a long time. Then I made a call to a woman named Janet, an old friend from church who had become a realtor. She answered on the second ring. "Hey there," she said cheerfully. "I wasn't expecting to hear from you today." "Janet," I said, steady and calm. "I need to sell a house." There was a pause. "Yours?" "No," I said. "The one I let my son live in." She was silent for a moment, then said, "Are you sure, Margaret?" "Yes." She didn't ask more. She just said, "All right, I can come by tomorrow and start the paperwork." We hung up, and I sat there with the phone in my hand, wondering how it had come to this. Then I got up, walked into my bedroom, and opened my suitcase again. This time, I wasn't packing for the cruise. I was packing to leave, not in anger, not for show, just to finally choose myself. That night, I slept better than I had in years. Not because I wasn't hurt, I was, but for the first time in a long time, I wasn't waiting on anyone to do right by me. I didn't need an apology. I didn't need explanations. I didn't even need closure. I needed distance. The next morning, I started going through drawers. The baby pictures, the family albums, the holiday cards they never came to pick up. I put it all into boxes. I didn't cry, I just worked, quietly, efficiently, like I was cleaning someone else's mess. At noon, Janet came by. I handed her the keys. She asked me if I was ready. Not ready, I said. Just done. I signed the papers, no hesitation. Janet said she'd take care of the rest. By 4 p.m. I was on the road, heading to a town 4 hours away where no one knew my name. I didn't leave a note. I didn't turn off the lights. I left the house exactly as they had left me, silent, empty, forgotten, but not for long. When I arrived in Ashcroft, it was quiet, not just in sound, but in rhythm. Small town, maybe 5,000 people if you counted the nearby farms. I'd chosen it because it had a short rental wait list and a furnished studio available on the second floor of a retired teacher's house. It wasn't glamorous, but I didn't need glamorous. I just needed out. Mrs. Holcomb, the landlord, met me with a gentle handshake and a tight-lipped smile. She didn't ask questions. She looked at my suitcase, then at my face, and simply said, "You'll be left alone here." That was all I wanted. The next day, I walked down to the diner on Main Street. I needed something hot, and I hadn't stocked the tiny kitchen yet. The woman behind the counter, Josie, poured me a black coffee without asking what I wanted. I must have looked like someone who didn't need conversation. Still, she gave me a menu and a warm nod. "You new in town?" I nodded. "Just arrived yesterday. Passing through or staying?" Undecided. She didn't press. She just refilled my coffee and let me be. I liked that. I spent the rest of the day walking. The sidewalks here didn't crack under your feet, no loud traffic, just the hum of lawnmowers and the occasional dog barking behind a wooden fence. I hadn't realized how much noise had become normal in my old life. Constant messages, phone calls, doorbells, expectations. Here, no one expected anything from me. That night, I sat in bed and checked my phone for the first time since leaving. 24 missed calls. Most of them from Michael. A few from Brittany. One from a blocked number. No voicemails, just their attempts to reach me. I didn't open the messages. I didn't listen to any voice recordings. I deleted all of them. I didn't do it out of anger. I did it to protect what little peace I had found. If they wanted to apologize, they were a year too late. If they wanted to explain, they had every chance to do that before the cruise. They chose silence. Now it was my turn, and Janet kept me updated about the house. She was efficient. Within 4 days, there were 3 serious offers. By the end of the week, we had a buyer. A family relocating from Denver, a young couple with 2 kids. They loved the backyard. Said it reminded them of where they grew up. Janet asked if I wanted to come back for the final walkthrough. I said no. She sent me a video instead. It showed the kitchen, the empty living room, the bedroom stripped of pictures and memories. I watched it once and deleted it. The closing was scheduled for the following Tuesday. Janet told me everything was in order. The house would be vacated, cleaned, and legally transferred by noon. That same day, around 6 p.m. Michael finally realized something was wrong. I know because he sent a message. "Mom, where are you? We just got home and the locks are changed. A family is in the house. What's going on?" I didn't answer. He called 5 times that night. I muted the phone. The next morning, I turned it off completely. I'd spent too long putting my life on hold for other people. This was the first time I'd chosen myself, and I wasn't going to backpedal now. 2 days later, I received an email from the escrow office confirming the deposit had cleared. The money was in my account, clean, untouched. I stared at the balance for a long time, not because I cared about the number, but because it meant something else now. It meant I was freed. I closed my laptop, made a cup of tea, and stepped outside, onto the porch. The sun was low, casting long shadows across Mrs. Holcomb's tomato plants. I stood there barefoot, letting the cool air hit my skin. I wasn't smiling, but I wasn't heavy anymore either. Later that night, Josie at the diner asked if I was settling in okay. I nodded, still figuring things out. I said, "Well," she replied, wiping a table, "figuring it out is more than most folks ever do." That stuck with me. Back in my room, I found a handwritten note slid under my door. Mrs. Holcomb's handwriting was sharp and tidy. "A man came by asking if I'd seen someone matching your description. Said he was your son." I told him I hadn't. She didn't sign it. She didn't need to. I knew she was on my side now. It took Michael 3 days to find me. I hadn't told anyone where I was going, but I underestimated how persistent guilt can be. He showed up at the diner during lunch, still wearing the same expression he used to wear when he was 8, and broke something he knew was important. "Mom," he said quietly, like I might run away if he spoke too loud. I didn't say anything. He pulled out the chair across from me and sat down. "I just want to talk." "You talked," I said, "when you let Brittany send that message." His face tightened. "I didn't know she sent it." "You read it." "I was going to." "You didn't." I kept my voice flat. "You let me pack my bags. You let me wait. And then you let me stay behind like trash." "Don't say that." Why not? It's what happened. He lowered his head. His fingers fumbled with a paper napkin. He looked nothing like the man I raised. Or maybe he looked exactly like him, and I was just seeing him clearly for the first time. I didn't know about the house, he said. I thought it was already mine. It never was. He nodded slowly. I shouldn't have let her send that text. I should have said something. I should have stopped it. You didn't. I know. His voice cracked. And now the kids are confused. Brittany's blaming me. We're not doing well. I looked at him for a long time, not with hate, not with sadness, just reality. That's not my burden anymore. He nodded again, like he had expected that answer, but still hoped for something else. I just wanted you to know, he said, that I'm sorry, that I understand now. I didn't say anything. Where are you living? Here. He blinked. Just here? In this town? Why not? He didn't have a response. After a while, he stood up. If you ever want to talk, if you ever want to come back. I looked at him, calm and steady. I'm not coming back. He swallowed hard, then turned and left. I watched him walk down the street. He didn't look back, and neither did I. The next morning, I found a folded piece of notebook paper left under my door. It was Michael's handwriting. I know I can't undo what happened. I just hope you'll let me make things right someday. I miss you. The kids miss you. I'm sorry, Mom. I read it twice, then put it in the drawer beside my bed. I didn't feel angry anymore. That part had faded, but I wasn't ready to respond. Not because I wanted to punish him, because I didn't know what he meant when he said make things right. Some things don't get fixed with a note. Some things can't go back. I went to the diner like usual. Josie refilled my coffee and didn't mention the man who'd come looking for me the day before. I appreciated that. Around here, people minded their own business. It was one of the reasons I stayed. I was starting to build a routine. Mornings at the diner, afternoons helping Mrs. Holcomb in the garden or reading on the back porch. I started walking more, too. There was a small path behind the post office that led to a park. No playground, just trees, a bench, and a little pond with ducks. It was quiet, predictable. I liked that. That afternoon, Mrs. Holcomb was watering her tomatoes when I joined her. You'd keep to yourself, she said without looking up. I prefer it that way, I answered. Me too, she said, then turned off the hose and looked at me. But it's nice having another woman around the house who understands why silence matters. We didn't talk much after that. We didn't need to. That night, I finally charged my phone again. I had left it off for 2 days. When it came back on, there were more messages. Brittany had texted 5 times, all short, all cold. We didn't mean for things to get this far. Michael is making this worse than it is. You had no right to sell that house without telling us. We had things inside that weren't yours. You've really made this impossible now. I didn't respond. The last message made me pause. If you wanted to be out of our lives, you got it. Just don't come crying when you're alone. I locked the screen and tossed the phone back into the drawer. She still didn't understand. None of it. I wasn't crying. I was resting, and I wasn't alone. I had myself. The following week, I found work. It wasn't planned. I was walking past the florist shop on Main when I saw a sign in the window. Part-time help wanted. No experience necessary. Must be able to lift boxes and like flowers. I went inside. The woman behind the counter was in her late 50s. Short gray hair, strong hands, apron with soil stains on it. She looked up and gave a polite nod. You hear about the job? I could be, I said. She asked my name. I told her. That was it. You ever worked with flowers? No. You allergic? No. She stared at me for a second, then handed me a pair of gloves. Come back tomorrow at 9. That was how I met Helen. She didn't care about my past. She didn't ask why I'd moved to Ashcroft. She taught me how to prep vases, clean stems, and sort deliveries. I started going in 3 days a week. She paid cash. I didn't ask how much. It wasn't about the money. It felt good to be useful again. Not in the way I'd been used, but useful, productive, quiet, satisfying. Some mornings, when I was cutting tulip stems or tying bows on gift orders, I'd think about the house. The one I gave up. The one Michael thought he owned. I wondered what the new owners had done with it. If they'd kept the rose bushes I planted out front. If the kids were using the same hallway to race their toy cars like my grandkids once did. I didn't regret it. Not for a second. The regret would have come if I had stayed. One day at work, Helen mentioned she needed someone to cover Saturday mornings while she helped her sister in another town. I agreed. That Saturday, around 10:15 a.m. Michael showed up. I was sweeping the entryway when I saw him get out of his car. He looked around the street like he wasn't sure if he should go through with it. Then he walked in. Mom, he said, surprised. Michael, I said flatly, I didn't expect. What? I asked. That I had a job? He looked uncomfortable. No, I just didn't know you were working here. Now you do. He stood there for a moment, not knowing where to look. He hadn't shaved. His shirt was wrinkled. He looked tired in a way I hadn't seen before. I didn't come to fight, he said finally. Then what did you come for? He took a deep breath. To tell you that we're moving out. Brittany and we're separating. I didn't say anything. He kept going. Things have been bad since the cruise. I didn't see it then, but I see it now. The way she talks to people. The way she talked to you. I should have said something. I should have stopped her. I put the broom aside. So what now? I've got the kids in an apartment. Just something temporary. I had to borrow some money from a friend, but we're okay. And Brittany? She's angry. Says I betrayed her. Says I picked you over her. He let out a small bitter laugh. She's not entirely wrong. She sent the message. I know. You let her. I know, he repeated. There was a long silence. Then I asked, why come here? Because even if you don't want to see me, I thought you should know that I'm trying, that I'm not the same. I nodded. He looked at me, waiting. I'm not ready to be a mother again, I said. He blinked. What? I raised you. I raised your kids while Brittany napped. I ran that household. I did everything, and I never asked for anything back. But I'm not doing it again. I'm not stepping back into the role of fixer. I'm not asking you to, he said quickly. I just wanted to be honest. Good, then we can start there. He nodded, took a step back toward the door, then turned again. If the kids ask, if they want to talk to you, is that okay? I hesitated. If they want to, I won't stop them. Thank you, he said, and left. After he was gone, Helen came out from the back, holding a ribbon spool. You okay? I'm fine. Family, used to be. She didn't ask anything else. She just handed me the spool and pointed to a half-done bouquet. You want to finish the bows? Yeah, I said. I do. That night, I went home and made myself tea. No calls, no drama, just silence, and it felt exactly right. The next few weeks passed without incident. I didn't hear from Michael again. He kept his word. No surprise visits, no guilt trips, just silence. And for once, it wasn't painful. It was quiet. I kept showing up at the flower shop every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. I liked the rhythm. Helen trusted me more now. She even let me handle some customers on my own. One morning, as I was sorting through a delivery of white lilies, I noticed a young woman standing outside the shop with 2 children, my grandchildren, Ellie and Marcus. I stopped what I was doing. My stomach tightened. The girl wasn't Brittany. She looked like a neighbor or maybe a friend. She had that uncomfortable stance people get when they're doing someone else a favor. She opened the door slowly and walked the kids in, guiding them like they were walking into a courtroom instead of a flower shop. Ellie saw me first. She blinked, confused. Grandma? I nodded. Hi, sweetheart. Marcus didn't say anything. He looked a little older since the last time I saw him, maybe a growth spurt, or maybe it was just the way he stood, more cautious than before. The woman stepped forward. Hi, I'm Kara. Michael asked me to bring them. He said it was okay. I wiped my hands on my apron. It's okay. Kara nodded quickly, then turned to the kids. I'll wait outside. You two be good. As soon as she left, the silence got heavier. Ellie walked over to the counter and looked at the vase I was working on. Are you mad at Dad? I shook my head. I was hurt. That's different. She picked up a loose flower stem and twirled it between her fingers. Why? Don't you come home? That house isn't mine anymore. But you're our grandma. I nodded. That part hasn't changed. Marcus came closer now, still quiet, but watching me closely. Did you really sell the house? He asked. Yes. Why? I leaned on the counter and kept my voice steady. Because I was treated like I didn't belong there anymore. He thought about that, then nodded slowly. Mom said you were being dramatic. I'm not mad at your mom, I said, but she said some things to me that I couldn't ignore. They both went quiet. I wasn't trying to make them pick sides. I just wanted them to understand. Not all at once, but a little at a time. Do you have toys here? Ellie asked, looking around. No, I said, but I have cookies in the back. Want one? They both nodded. I brought out 2 oatmeal raisin cookies from the little tin Helen kept for special customers. I poured 2 cups of milk from the mini fridge. We sat at the table in the back, just the 3 of us. They didn't say much, but they didn't look uncomfortable either. Ellie asked about the flowers. Marcus asked if I still watched basketball. It wasn't dramatic. It was ordinary, and that made it feel real. When Kara came back in to collect them, Ellie hugged me before I could react. Tight, like she meant it. Marcus followed, more awkwardly, but he didn't pull away when I touched his shoulder. As they left, Kara looked at me. Michael says thank you. I nodded. Tell him I heard. She smiled weakly, then left. That night, I closed the shop and walked home slowly. It was colder than usual, and I had forgotten my jacket. Still, the cold didn't bother me. When I got back, There was a letter taped to my door. It was from Brittany. I stood there for a moment just staring at it. Her handwriting, neat and sharp. I didn't open it outside. I waited until I was sitting at my small table, cup of tea in hand. The letter was short. Margaret, I don't know what you expected when you left, but now everything is falling apart. Michael is miserable. The kids are confused, and I'm exhausted trying to hold everything together. You always acted like the martyr, and maybe you got what you wanted. A chance to disappear and make us the villains. I never hated you. I just didn't think you belonged in everything. You took the house. You took the money, but you also took their stability. I hope that was worth it. Brittany, I folded the letter neatly and put it in the same drawer where I kept Michael's note. She still didn't get it. She thought I left because I wanted attention. She didn't understand that I left because I was erased. I didn't respond, but I knew this wasn't over. A few days later, Helen and I were preparing funeral arrangements for a local woman. Nothing fancy, just soft yellows and whites. The woman's daughter came in to finalize the ribbon text. When she left, Helen turned to me and said, "You ever think about where you'd want to end up?" I didn't answer right away. Then I said, "I used to want to be buried next to my husband." Helen didn't push. She just handed me the ribbon to finish. That night, Michael called again. This time, I picked up. I saw the letter. I said before he could speak, "I didn't know she wrote it," he said. "She's been angry. She's always been angry. I just stopped letting her aim it at me." He paused. "I'm not calling to fix anything. I just wanted to say, thank you for seeing the kids. They were so happy when they came back. I was happy to see them too. I know it's going to take time, but I'm trying." "Good." There was a long pause. "I'm staying out of her way now," he said. "She's doing her thing. I'm doing mine. And the kids? They're with me most days. It's better that way." We didn't talk long, but when I hung up, I felt something shift, not forgiveness, but a step forward. The next Saturday, Ellie and Marcus showed up again, this time without Kara. Michael dropped them off at the shop, said he had errands. They helped me make a small bouquet, picked out the ribbon, even swept the floor. Ellie asked if I could come to her school play in a few weeks. I didn't answer right away. She looked disappointed. Then I said, "If your dad brings you again next weekend, I'll come to the play." Her face lit up. That was enough. I didn't need to rebuild what was broken. I just needed to show them what was left. Saturday came fast. Helen gave me the day off without asking why. I think she knew. I wore a plain blue cardigan, one of the few nicer pieces I had brought from my old home. I brushed my hair twice, checked the time 5 times, and still felt like I'd forgotten something. At 10 a.m. sharp, Michael's car pulled up in front of the flower shop. Ellie and Marcus jumped out before he could even unbuckle his seatbelt. I stepped outside just as they were walking up. "Grandma," Ellie shouted, practically skipping. Marcus waved, then looked down at his shoes. "Morning," Michael said as he came around the front of the car. "You look good." "I look the same," I replied. He shrugged. "That's good too." We didn't say much else. The plan was simple. He'd drive, I'd ride along, we'd go to the school, watch the play, and come back. I agreed mostly. For the kids, I had no interest in being in public again with Brittany possibly nearby, but I also wasn't going to let fear or discomfort decide what my grandchildren remembered. The drive to the school was quiet. Ellie chatted in the back about her role as tree number 2 in the school play. Marcus asked if I still remembered how to make pancakes with strawberries on top. I told him I hadn't made them in a long time. "You should come over sometime and teach Dad." "He's terrible," Marcus said with a grin. Michael didn't defend himself. The school. The parking lot was full. Michael parked near the edge. As we walked toward the building, I saw Brittany across the lot, standing next to another mother. She spotted us. Her face didn't move. No frown, no wave, nothing. She turned her back. I expected that. The auditorium was too warm. We found seats near the middle. Michael sat at the end. I sat between the kids. They both leaned into me as the lights dimmed. When Ellie walked onto the stage in a cardboard tree costume, she spotted me right away. Her face lit up. She waved. Out of costume. Out of character. Just a kid happy to see her grandma. The play was short. Mostly kids forgetting lines and teachers whispering prompts from the wings. But it was sweet. No drama. No speeches. Just small people doing their best. After the show, we stepped outside to wait for Ellie while she changed. Brittany walked past us once, holding a bouquet she clearly didn't buy at Helen's shop. She didn't make eye contact. Michael kept his head down. When Ellie returned, still glowing from the stage lights, she hugged me so tight I had to steady myself. "Did you see me?" she asked. "I saw every second." She handed me a paper program. On the back, written in pencil, was a note. "Thank you for coming. I love you. Ellie." I kept it in my coat pocket the entire ride home. Michael dropped me off at the flower shop. The kids wanted me to come over, but I told them I had work to finish. Michael didn't argue. He just nodded. When they left, I stood outside for a moment. The street was still, a breeze pushing leaves across the sidewalk. No noise. No tension. Just stillness. I unlocked the door and walked inside. A small cardboard box sat on the counter. It hadn't been there earlier. I opened it. Inside were several items from my old house. A family photo from 10 years ago, a mug that said, "World's Best Mom," and a small quilt I made before Ellie was born. No note. Just those things. I didn't need a signature to know it was from Michael. I sat at the work table and looked at the photo. It was from a Thanksgiving when George was still alive. Everyone was younger, faces softer. Brittany was smiling, back when she still wore her hair in a ponytail and pretended to like me. I stared at my own face for a long time. Then I put the photo back in the box and pushed it aside. The next day, Helen asked how the play went. I told her it was fine. "You don't look fine," she said. "I'm tired." "Good tired, or the kind that doesn't go away?" I didn't answer. She handed me a new order slip. "Someone wants a sympathy arrangement delivered tomorrow." I glanced at the address. It was Brittany's. Helen raised an eyebrow. "You want me to take it?" "No," I said. "I'll go." The next morning, I put together the arrangement myself. Simple whites and greens, no bright colors, just clean and respectful. When I got to Brittany's apartment, the door was already open a crack. I knocked gently. She pulled it open the rest of the way. Her face looked tired, pale. She didn't say anything. "Delivery," I said, holding out the flowers. "She didn't take them. Michael told you?" "No." "Iyajitada?" "Told me what?" She stepped back, letting the door swing open wider. I followed her inside. Sitting on the couch was an older woman. Her mother, I assumed, holding a framed photo. "A man I didn't recognize, her uncle," Brittany said quietly. "Car accident." I nodded. She finally reached for the flowers and placed them on the counter. "Still no thank you. I don't want to fight," she said. "Neither do I." We stood in silence. Then she looked at me, something breaking through in her voice. "You hurt him." "I know. He cries at night. Sometimes, not loud. Just when the kids are asleep." I nodded again. Then she said, "But he hurt you first." I didn't respond. She looked away. "I don't know how we got here. By pretending everything was fine until it wasn't." She sat down, her hand resting on the edge of the table. "I thought you always wanted control," she said. "I just wanted respect." She nodded. Slowly, before I left, she asked, "Do you hate me?" "No," I said, "but I don't trust you. I don't blame you." As I walked out, I didn't feel lighter. I didn't feel vindicated, but I felt finished, and that was something. It had been 2 months since the play. The routine at the flower shop continued like clockwork. Helen eventually gave me keys and said, "If I drop dead, at least someone responsible will be here." That was her way of showing trust. Michael brought the kids by every other Saturday. They didn't always stay long, and some days Marcus didn't talk much, but they came. Ellie always brought me something she made: drawings, bracelets, folded paper animals. One Saturday she came in with a picture she had drawn of a house. "It's our new place," she said proudly. "It's not as big, but Daddy says we get to keep it forever." I asked if she liked it. "It's small," she said, "but it feels nice, like nobody's yelling all the time." I didn't say anything. Later that afternoon, Michael came to pick them up. He waited in the car while the kids finished a puzzle on the counter. Before they left, Ellie asked if I'd ever visit the house. "Maybe." I told her. Marcus turned to me and asked, "Did you forgive Dad?" I looked at him, steady. "I think so. I'm still figuring it out." He nodded. "Okay." They left after that. No tears, no drama, just a hug and a wave. That night, I stayed late at the shop, finishing an arrangement for a church event. When I finally walked home, the air had that first bite of autumn. I wrapped my cardigan tighter, stopped for a moment on the corner, and looked up at the sky. No stars, too much cloud cover, but the silence was full. The next morning, a letter arrived. Handwritten. No return address. Just my name on the envelope in careful print. I sat with it for an hour before opening. It was from Michael. "Mom, I don't know if this will matter, but I need you to understand something. You didn't just walk away from a house. You walked away from the only version of you that Brittany ever let us see. And when you did that, I realized how much of you I'd stopped seeing myself. I let her run the story. I let her decide where you belonged and when you were allowed to speak. I watched it happen for years and said nothing. And I want to say I'm sorry, but even that feels small now. The kids miss you, but they don't talk about the house anymore. They don't talk about the cruise either. They talk about the flower shop, the cookies, the drawings you hang behind the counter. They know who you are now. That's more than I ever gave you credit for. Love." McKelly folded the letter and placed it in the drawer with the others. I didn't cry, but I did sit there a long time, just holding the envelope. That afternoon, I went to Helen and asked for Sunday off. She raised an eyebrow. "You sick?" "No, date. No, she didn't ask more. On Sunday, I took the early bus out of town. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. I just needed to see it once, to stand in front of that house I left behind and feel what came next. When I got there, it looked different. The new owners had painted the shutters, changed the front door, removed the swing from the tree. The rose bushes were gone. The sidewalk had been power washed. It didn't look like mine anymore. That helped more than I expected. I stood across the street for a while. No one came out. No one noticed me. Then I turned around and walked back to the bus stop. On the ride home, I didn't look back once. Back in Ashcroft, I stopped by the shop to check the deliveries for the next day. Helen had left a note on the counter. You're not hard to read. I hope whatever you needed to see was worth the trip. I smiled, just slightly. The next week, the kids came by again. Ellie was holding a little envelope with my name on it. Can you come to our school next Friday? She asked. It's Grandparents' Day. I paused. I'm not your only grandparent. She shrugged. You're the one who shows up. That Friday, I sat in a folding chair next to Michael, who looked more rested than he had in years. The kids were on stage again, this time singing a song about kindness. It was off-key and too long, but it felt right. After the performance, Ellie introduced me to her teacher. This is my grandma, she said proudly. She works with flowers and knows how to make any day feel better. The teacher smiled and asked, do you visit often? Not always, I said, but I'm here when it counts. That evening, I returned to my little apartment. I made tea, turned on the small radio, and sat by the window. The sun was setting behind the trees. Nothing dramatic, just orange light, slipping away. A few weeks later, the bank transfer from the house sale was complete. I had moved half the money into a separate account under a different name. I wasn't hiding it. I was protecting it. Helen had once asked if I knew where I wanted to end up. Now I did. Not in a grave next to people who forgot me while I was still alive. Not in a home I paid for but was never welcome in. Not in silence, begging to be included, but here, on my own terms, not bitter, not broken, just done, and for the first time in my life, that felt like enough.